Good afternoon, Ovation Nation, and welcome to another best sets video. In this video, we're going to go over the pseudo legendary of Pokemon Sword and Shield, Dragapult. Now, before we go ahead and get started with the sets for Dragapult, we have several sets in this video. I do want to go ahead and say that if you guys have your own sets for Dragapult, please do feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. Also, if you have any suggestions to any of the sets that I mentioned to you, please do go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below as well. And if you enjoy videos like this or this video period, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already for more of this kind of content, and follow my Twitch where I'm playing Pokemon Sword and Shield. Will eventually be working my way into the VGC competitive scene. Now, going on, here we have the pseudo legend Dragapult, Ghost Dragon type. Now that's a very interesting typing in and of itself because it's exclusive to this Pokemon if we're not counting legendary Pokemon. Granted, this is a pseudo legendary and has comparable stats to legendary Pokemon, but we're gonna ignore those facts because like I said, Ghost Dragon exclusive to non-legendary Pokemon is on Dragapult right here. Now this Pokemon does have some pretty interesting stats that I do want to go over. 88 HP, not the best, not terrible. 120 attack, very strong. 75 defense, 75 special defense, not great, but also not the worst. I mean, it's still capable of taking some hits. It's not like your tankiest of mons, it's not your frailest of mons, but it could take at least maybe 1 or 2 hits. The most probably, because I think anything more than 4 hits is stretching it. We have 100 special attacks, so this Pokemon can be a mixed attacker, which is interesting. And if you guys wait till later on in this video, I do have some sets for both physical and sets for special as well. I'm going to go over that later on in the video. But here's the cream of the crop. Here's the piece de resistance. We have 142 speed, making this one of the fastest Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Actually, it's top 5 fastest in Pokemon Sword and Shield. It outspeeds Zacian, Zamazenta if they're both like not on their special form, and outspeeds the likes of Barraskewda, Jolteon, Eternatus, Weavile. Like, we'll get in that speed is ridiculous. 142 is very fast, especially in a game with a condensed dex like this one. Now, looking at the typing of Ghost Dragon, I do want to mention that the weaknesses are Ghost, Ice, Dragon, Dark, and Fairy. That's 5 weaknesses, 5 scary weaknesses, but here's where the that typing makes up for all those weaknesses. It has a lot of resistances and immunities also, and those resistances are very relevant resistances like fire, water, electric, grass, poison, bug, and on top of that, immunity is normal in fighting. Like, that's a lot of resistances, especially fire, water, electric, grass. Like, those are super crucial resistances because a lot of Pokemon do use moves of that typing or are that type and have those stabs. Now, its super effective stabs are against Dragon and Psychic and Ghost, which are also very, very relevant typing. So all in all, this Pokemon and you know, the typing of Dragon and Ghost does seem to be very darn good. Now, before we go ahead and start the sets, I do want to go over the abilities because this Pokemon has 3 different ones. The first ability is Clear Body, which prevents other Pokemon from lowering its stats. Next ability is Infiltrator. Infiltrator ignores the effects of Reflect, Light Screen, and Safeguard, so that's pretty darn good. Also, if you're worried about, you know, having to deal with you know, Reflect and a lot of subs and stuff like that. Continuing on, we have Cursed Body, which is the hidden ability which may disable a move on a Pokemon. May disable the move that is last used on the Dragapult. All in all these abilities are very good. My favorite out of the 3 is probably going to be Clear Body. I'm going to see why that is later on in this video as well. But without further ado, let's get into the first set. Here we have the offensive choice spec set with Clear Body and Timid. Now, the EV spread I have in this Pokemon, as you can see, is a little wonky, but it's the EV spread I'm going to use throughout the rest of this video as well. I have 204 speed. The reason I have 204 speed is because I don't need to outspeed everything in this game. Like I said, like, just base stat wise, Dragapult is already one of the fastest, so I don't have to fully commit into more speed that I won't actually need. Granted, there's always the possibility of choice scarfs and the possibility of, you know, stat boosts and things like that, but if I'm taking all that into account, then I still won't be able to outspeed any of these mons, even if they had a choice scarf, even if they did have or didn't have a choice card off on them. Now, the mons that I'm talking about that I want to outspeed and that this set particularly outspeeds by 1 are Galarian Darmanitan with Zen mode. Now, I spoke about Galarian Darmanitan in my Rillaboom video, and I think that's a scary Pokemon because of how fast it is, how unique its typing is, how strong it can be. So I want to try to outspeed it because I'm pretty sure it can one-shot me with a nice move because that's how strong Darmanitan is. So I didn't have to used to worry about a fire Pokemon like Darmanitan with Dragapult, but now I do. So now we have the Galarian Darmanitan Zen mode that this outspeeds by 1. It also outspeeds other Pokemon that would probably do a lot of damage to this, like Ice-Q, which is after it breaks his face is a lot faster and can hit me with a nice type move. We have mons like Weavile, big threat because it has the dual stab advantage against me. Other mons like Noivern and Recombi, it's a fairy type, it scares me, it can still do damage to me. I'm not the tankiest thing in the world. And then Noivern, if it outspeeds me and hits a Draco, I'm pretty sure I'm dead. But with that said, I have the 204 in speed. That's the reason I have 204 in speed and nothing more. And then the rest, I just kind of stuck where I thought I needed it. I have 252 special attack just so I can have as much special attack as possible. Sadly, I have to be Timid Nature because if I am modest, even with 252, I don't outspeed some of those mons, which is sad. Particularly, I don't outspeed the Darmanitan if I am modest and 252. So I have to be timid and I have to be 204 at least. And then continuing on, we also have 48 HP just because I didn't know where else to stick it. So I thought, you know, HP is my next highest stat other than my attacking moves. And since this set doesn't really make use of physical attacks, I didn't want to stick it in my physical attack slot. So I stuck it in my HP. I made it an odd number just in case there are entry hazards, but that's just me being very picky about my odd numbers of HPs. And then I stuck 4 in special defense just because, like I said, I wanted that odd number of HP. Now my moves are Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, U-turn. I mean, the moves are pretty standard. Draco Meteor for my Dragon Stab, Shadow Ball for my Ghost Stab, Flamethrower because I am weak to ice types, which do give me a little bit of a problem, so at least I'll have Flamethrower in order to deal with those. And then U-turn because I'm Choice Specs and I want a valuable way of switching out just in case I'm in a bad matchup. I want to get out of there as fast as possible. So that's my offensive spec set. Continuing on, we have a special eject pack set. Now, I was a little bit iffy on eject pack when it was first released because I was always under the impression of, oh, if they lower my stats, I have to leave too. But what makes Dragapult nice is that they can't lower my stats. I have clear body. I have the ability to use clear body, so I know that if I have eject pack on, I'm using it on my terms. Like, I have it for Draco Meteor because then with eject pack, I essentially get a U-turn version I get a version of U-turn by using a Draco Meteor, which is very exciting because Draco Meteor is the strongest dragon type move that this Pokemon can learn. So I go for the Draco Meteor, I get the -2, and then I switch out. So it's essentially a dragon U-turn at 140 special attack, which is pretty ridiculous. You're almost always gonna go first because you're one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, so you don't even have to worry about that fact. And along with that, you know, that's just kind of my idea behind this set. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it's really good. And the fact that, you know, they can't force you to switch by lowering your stats because of your clear body makes it that much better. My EV spreads, my timid are all the same as before, and my nature are all the same as before. I'm also using Shadow Ball and Flamethrower, but instead of the U-turn, I have the protect because I don't need the U-turn here because I have the Draco Meteor as my U-turn slot. Now, here we have the physical Life Orb Dragapult set, still rocking the clear body. As you can tell, I have a preference for clear body just because I think the fact that they can't lower my stats is just really good. Especially since in this game, if you guys are like looking at the new moves and looking at all the moves in general, there's a lot of Pokemon and moves and like Dynamax options that lower stats or raise stats. So I don't want anyone playing with my stats. I'm going to go ahead and keep the clear body on. Now, I'm rocking a slightly different EV spread, but the concept is still the same. Instead of the special attack, I'm now running it in my attack. I still have the 48 HP, I still have the 4 special defense, and I still have the 204 speed. But I'm running the Jolly Nature this time as well, just because obviously I'm running a physical set. Now, my moves are a little bit different here because I do have 2 different moves. And depending on whether it's doubles or singles. For my Dragon Stab, I'm thinking Dragon Darts in singles is really good because that's essentially 100 base power Dragon Stab. But when you make it doubles, you essentially just have 50 base power spread move, which is not that good in my opinion. I would much rather have a 60 base power spread move that also gives my enemy team the -1, essentially in the Intimidate, and that's Breaking Swipe, which I think would be a lot better in doubles than Dragon Darts, which is kind of sad because Dragon Darts is kind of the signature move of this Pokemon. But you know, you gotta go with what's better, and I think that Breaking Swipe would be a lot better for a doubles position. Not as good for single position, obviously. Now continuing on for moves, we have Sucker Punch, just because priority is nice on, you know, off chances that they outspeed you. I know it's rare, but you might encounter a situation to where, I don't know, you have a Scarfed Mon that you have to outspeed, and since I'm already not fully invested in speed, it's always nice to have that priority. That move slot isn't necessary. You could stick that with any other move that you want. You could stick that with U-Turn just to have, you know, I don't know, a way to hit bugs. But I mean, a way to hit grass Pokemon, but that's just all conjecture there. That move slot's kind of open. I like the Sucker Punch. Sadly, Dragapult doesn't have a very good physical move pool. I mean, he does get options like Last Resort, but that's just a normal type move, and you have to use all the other moves in your arsenal before you're able to use Last Resort, which is kind of unfortunate. But I also have the Phantom Force. Phantom Force is weird because I needed a physical stab here, and Phantom Force isn't the greatest move in the game because, you know, it takes 2 turns to go off. Your opponent can't switch out, but in doubles it's not too bad because the options of Pokemon that your opponent has to switch out into is a lot more narrow in doubles, and it also breaks through Protect, so Protect isn't even a problem for Phantom Force. And then my last move slot would be Protect, obviously for a double standpoint. I mean, you guys can stick whatever you want here. This Pokemon also has access to a whole bunch of other notable moves like Dragon Claw, like Dragon Pulse, Shadow Ball, Psychic Fangs, Ally Switch, U-Turn, Thunderbolt, etc. The list keeps going on. Very interesting Pokemon. I got a couple sets for this thing. I feel like it's pretty well rounded. It kind of does a couple things. It's not just a glass sweeper like we saw with Inteleon. You can go physical, you can go special, depending on what your team needs the most. Because of how fast you are, you don't have to invest fully in speed, and you know, you're able to just dish a lot of damage out because this attack and the special attack are nothing to laugh about. Now, with that said, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of Dragapult. If you did, remember to leave a like and comment down below, subscribe, and also follow my Twitch channel for more Pokemon Sword and Shield action. I'm Ovation. Hope they did enjoy. Peace out.